We are live. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us today. As you might have guessed, it's not NFA Live because Ben is away. I think Rob is away as well, possibly. So we thought we'd do a Coin Bureau only stream, where someone in the comments has pointed out the Three Musketeers, which I'm definitely here all day for that one.
No rest for the wicked, man. Yeah, come on.
Absolutely.
Robin, Ben, what are they doing? Honestly, guys, yeah. Crypto's pumping. What are they doing?
Coin Bureau doesn't take a holiday. So, yes, I am joined by Nick with the green light. Good to see you, sir.
Green light, go. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And Lewis, the newest addition to the Coin Bureau team, but he's been here on More Coin Bureau for a bit. How are you doing, Lewis?
Doing good.
Good. You're still at Coin Bureau HQ. I love to see that. Love that energy.
Right over there. Yeah.
I like the ambience with the blue lights in the back.
I was considering switching it to green when you were talking about how good green is right now. So, but
so like isn't that like the Ethereum maxi like color, right? So we're going to talk. I think that's what the Ethereum maxi kind of like these Ethereum maxis have those blue lights in their eyes. So there you go, representing.
Perfect. Because I'm all in ETH, so it works out.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that's something we can definitely talk about. So yeah, like I say, everyone, thanks for joining. We've got people joining us from X as well. We are live on X too. This is just how we roll these days. But so the form for today is we've got a few talking points that we want to go through. Some of the stories in crypto at the moment. I want to ask the guys their opinions on what's happened with Roman Storm, the developer of Tornado Cash, because we flagged that in the news live stream on Monday, and we have had a verdict on that. So I want to get the guys' opinion on that. We're going to talk a bit about Ethereum, why Ethereum's been doing so well, not just the token, but not just the coin, but also the network. We're going to be talking, Lewis has got some charts and altcoins to talk to us about as well. And we're just going to be answering some of your questions too. I'm hoping in the stream. We've already got a few. In fact, why don't we start with one from Brett, who is one of our regular watchers. I think this is a question that needs to be addressed ASAP. My question is for Guy. Now that his ETH bags have pumped and taken some profits, has Nick taken Guy shopping for a real watch? This isn't real. Good grief. I presume, Brett, by a real watch, you mean something ridiculously expensive. Well, I've got a couple of points on this one. I haven't actually sold any ETH for a long time. I'm holding on to it now because I think, where are we now? About 3,800. I mean, I think we've got higher to go from there. So I'm not even considering selling below 4K. And yeah, I mean, even if I do, I'm going to have to sell a lot to afford afford the sort of watch that Nick likes to go for.
And more importantly, guys, you know that Guy's watch has got very important sentimental value for him, worth way more than any sort of Rolex or Patek. So
absolutely. Mrs. G gave me this one, so this is all the watch I need. Plus, I would never. I don't think I could ever walk around with something truly expensive on my wrist because, if I went back to the UK, someone would probably have it off my wrist fairly quickly, and I'd always be paranoid about it falling off or falling down a drain or something. So that's that. Thank you, Brett. Thank you for that question, which disguised that sly dig at me, disguised as a question. I appreciate it. Okay, let's quickly talk. I'm going to share my screen for a moment because I think this is a really important story and we need to discuss it a bit. It's this one here. So let me bring that up. So this is Roman Storm. This is the guy who is the developer of Tornado Cash, the popular mixing service. Unfortunately, a little too popular. It's quite popular with the North Koreans, among others. This trial has been going on. This whole saga has been going on for a very long time now. He has been convicted on the unlicensed money transmission charge. The jury couldn't reach a decision on the money laundering charge, and he's not guilty on the sanctions charges. Now, I would say this is not ideal because it would have been, the best thing would for him to have been exonerated of all charges. But I think definitely the sanctions and money laundering were the most serious. So this has kind of got to count as a win for him and also for crypto, right? What do you guys make of it?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, those were the biggest ones, and also I think he's likely to potentially appeal the money transmission one, and likely to win in that. So I think that out of the charges that he was that they brought to him, I think that the biggest ones are out of the way now, and also more importantly, it means that now there is no precedent set, and essentially developers don't have to be worried about being charged for the code that they write. Code is free speech. And just because people use your code for nefarious purposes, you should not be held accountable and face these stiff charges. So I think it's a win, to be honest. I think it's definitely a win.
Yeah, Lewis, is this one that you've been following at all? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I looked into it a bit, and so there's a couple things. It's like, first off, the conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmission business, right? Like, apparently, I saw this today. There was a law that was passed, which should be basically saying that it's a non-case. It's not a case at all, because he didn't know, like, he didn't make it with that intent of having, nefarious actors coming in and using it. And so what's happening apparently is that the DOJ is basically sort of like creating their own type of definition for what a money transmission business is. And so it was just what I was reading and listening to. It just seems so ridiculous to me that that's even, shouldn't even be a case to begin with, because it's a matter of what the law actually is. But obviously, they're trying to change it in some way or another, or just create their own spin on it. But I think that with Trump and everything that he's putting out, I think with the Clarity Act, there should be something in there that helps his case as well. It's going to go more in his favor. And, like Nick said, he's appealing the conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmission business, right? So like, he's going to appeal that, and that's probably going to take a long time, but things are seeming to go in his favor. And it really comes down to, I mean, we also have like Vitalik Buterin supporting him, and like pretty much everyone in the crypto space like supporting him right now. And that's helping a lot, because usually it's in and out like pretty quick for a lot of these types of cases, like crypto cases, where people just find them guilty. But now this one's, apparently the jury took a long time, like 10 plus hours, to come up with these decisions. And there's a lot of like back and forth. So that's good, because it's not just like straight up guilty, And if we have basically everyone supporting him, and then really this wishy-washy thing when it comes to the definition of what a money transmission business is, I mean, if it does end up going down really guilty, then that would, like Nick said, put every protocol that uses, that interacts with in DeFi, basically, because anyone could interact with it, at risk, which I doubt that would happen, because that would put Uniswap at risk, that would put Aave at risk, and just all of these things, which seems ridiculous to me. So yeah, I think that he really just started it to help protect people's privacy, so that they wouldn't, be able to be found by bad actors, with their wallets to put for potential kidnappings and stuff like that, which we've seen already. And so I think he started out with good intentions. I mean, if he started it with bad intentions, like, and if it's been proven that like, oh, he's doing this literally just to help like launder money, then yeah, okay, there's a case there. But I think it started out with positive intentions, just for more privacy, and he didn't expect all of this to happen with the Lazarus group and everything. So fingers crossed.
Something I find interesting, I just thought about it now, Guy. If I recall, in terms of this question of code is law, and it's a very interesting case from like 2 years ago or a year ago. Remember the infamous Mr. Avi Eisenberg?
Yes. The
and
Mango Markets guy.
And hacking Mango Markets using a sophisticated trading strategy that exploited the oracles and stuff. And if I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that he basically they couldn't take him down on the charges of hacking, or the more serious charges. They took him down on a secondary charge because of unsavory stuff they found in his laptop. You guys can go and research that yourself. So in that particular case, there was a bad actor that used code to try and exploit a protocol, was successful, made a lot of money from it with bad intentions. He wasn't prosecuted for it. So I think in this particular case, you had a good-natured developer who developed a protocol for use for any individual to be able to have privacy with their Ethereum. And therefore, it would have been completely ridiculous for them to say you had bad intentions and intended for your code to be used by North Koreans.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you said, Lewis, it's like, the guy most likely created this with good intentions, and I mean, short of an email chain between him and Kim Jong-un, hey, can you any chance you could spin up a mixer protocol for me so as my guys can launder some of these funds that we're hacking? It was done with best intentions, and I guess it's not his fault that the thing is so successful. And as many people have pointed out, if you create a tool, it is just that, it's a tool, and it's up to the user how you use that tool. A hammer can be a useful thing for doing DIY, or you can kill someone with it. But it's really comes down to the individual.
I personally would like to know when the DOJ is going to go after Bill Gates for the Windows machine that the hackers used.
Seriously.
Yeah. To say nothing of that Clippy animation that used to emerge.
Oh yeah, that should, like, life in prison for that just itself.
Yeah, easy 20 years. Easy 20 years. Yeah, I mean, the main thing is, I think that Roman Storm is not going to jail, and as you guys have pointed out, he can appeal this, and of course, so much has changed since he was first indicted. There's a much, not only is the administration more positive, but as we've seen just in the last few days, I mean, we've had this White House crypto report, 160 pages from the president's working group on digital asset markets, or whatever it's called. We're in the process of putting together a video on that. And I mean, that is insanely positive for the whole industry. Meanwhile, You've got Paul Atkins coming out recently, new head of the SEC, basically saying, like, I mean, from what I read of what he said, like, someone in the most bullish crypto person imaginable could not have scripted that better. I mean, it's literally everything that we wanted him to say. So, the backdrop is so different. So I think even if it hadn't gone his way, he would be, and there was an appeal, it would be under much more favorable circumstances anyway. But we didn't want it to get to that, because that would have taken a huge toll on him personally and financially and whatever. Plus would have just been kind of ongoing uncertainty for the industry, right?
Yeah, but with this administration, I think, if this was a few years ago, it would be a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, definitely another bit of good news. Like I say, it could have been slightly better. It would have been best if he'd gotten off on all the charges, but this is definitely good news. And I think this is something that it's not going to be something that's felt right away in the markets. I think this is going to be one of those long tail things that it just means more innovation in the long term, more people taking risks to go and build, cool stuff that works. And yeah, we won't see the benefits of it tomorrow, but we will see it further down the line. Okay, now Edward has a question in the comments. I think this is a good one. I was thinking about this recently. Can there ever be a true alt season without new rate cuts? Obviously, the last Fed meeting was last week. No rate cut then. There is a fairly high chance, I think, of a rate cut in September. At least that's what the market expects. Of course,
92%. So
yeah.
Okay. Of course, September is quite some time away. We don't have a Fed meeting this month. The closest we've got is the Jackson Hole Symposium, where Jerome might come out and say some interesting stuff there. But yeah, what do you guys make of this? I mean, do we? Because as I've pointed out before, like a rate cut of 25 basis points or max 50 that we might get, I don't think would make an enormous difference. It would be a sort of, symbolic, I would say, as much as anything else. But do you guys agree with that? I mean, do we actually need rate cuts to have an alt season in the first place?
Yeah, I think we do. I think because that brings with it liquidity and loosening monetary conditions, and liquidity is what's needed for altcoin, for generally or most risk assets to rally, and altcoins are the furthest out on the risk curve, especially in general, obviously in crypto, but more especially so in traditional assets. So I think that will come, and the loosening cycle will begin when you start having the rate cuts. But you're right. So I think the 25 basis points, if that's probably what they'll bring it at, will only be the first, and they'll take it in many different stages. And I think the kind of alt season that people, the question is what true alt season? I mean, there's the alt season where Bitcoin dominance will fall and the others chart will rally, will come when you have these much looser monetary conditions. Although for it to be the same kind of rally we've seen in altcoins in the 2021 cycle, I think that's not way less likely, because rates are still relatively high, even if you bring it down 25, 50 basis points, etc. You don't have quantitative easing, right? Just quantitative tightening still going on. Quantitative easing is not here as it was in the 2021 cycle. Stimmy checks not here. Although Trump is thinking about giving back some tariff revenue and baby boomer checks, like baby checks and stuff. But yeah, I think that's what we need, and that's why a lot of people are in this wait and see, mode until we actually get to September and see what happens. Then again, if Trump installs an Uber Dove, a shadow Fed chair for one, replacing this one Fed governor who's leaving, and gets an Uber Dove into the driving seat as the chairman, maybe that money printer could churn very quickly.
Lewis, do you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, I don't know if people still think like that we're going to have another 2021, but like that's sort of impossible. Like where every single thing goes up like hundreds of percentage points, and some go up like thousands and thousands of percentage points. Because we had so many things that were coming together, perfectly timing for the most perfect storm of massive amounts of liquidity that the world has never seen before being injected into the markets. And crypto was much smaller back then, so even small amounts of liquidity was able to, pump it like crazy. So like that crazy alt season, like there will never be another one of those again for, I mean, at least like 10 years. I mean, the last one that there was the crypto one in 2017, but in the traditional markets, there was the 2000 .com bubble, and that was it. That was pretty much it. Other than like the C bubble, back in like 1870 or something like that. But the South Sea Company. But like, yeah, there's still going to be obviously lots of coins that go up like crazy, but you're going to have to do you're going to have to do some work, which we actually can get into later when we talk about crypto Twitter. But yeah, you're going to have to do some work because there will be coins. I mean, we've had coins that have gone up 20, 50, 100 plus X, this cycle. So they're there, so don't let anyone tell you that like there's no opportunity, because there's plenty of opportunity. It's just you sort of have to be a little deranged and slightly, messed up in the head to find them, because you have to be like searching the like crypto Twitter 24/7 and being in these different groups and understanding the lore of things and understanding that, yeah, there's a coin, that's like a meme coin that looks really stupid, but because of that and a lot of other things, that's why it goes up. Like, but if you're not in crypto and you don't understand that, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, oh, this is stupid. This is immature, but like, why would a coin, called Troll do a 50x, or a coin called Uranus go up 20 times, I don't know. Well, you're not in crypto, so you don't understand. Okay. But if you are, then you'll go more down on the spectrum and you'll start to get it, So yeah,
the spectrum in terms of like mentally or on the markets. I think both.
Yeah. I didn't want to say the R word, but that's pretty much what you have to be
Weaponized
to make
autism.
it. Yeah, weaponized autism, exactly. But so yeah. When we get the rate cuts, it's going to be great. But we're going to need a lot more than that, and you're going to have to be more specific with what you're getting into. I don't think you could just throw a dart at the wall and it's going to go up like 5x or 10x, something like a true alt season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gosh, that puts me in mind of so many things. The first is, I remember I was back in the UK sort of fairly recently, and I caught up with a few friends, and some of them had been in crypto. Pretty much everyone was in crypto in 2017, and then in 2021, obviously, but a lot of the guys have kind of dropped out, either because they can't stand watching me on YouTube, or a lot of them have sort of started families and things like that, and have just kind of drifted away from it. But they're still sort of interested, and so they always kind of ask what's new. And whenever I sort of give them a sort of rundown of some of the things that have been going on, they're always just like, my God.
Yeah,
I thought there was some mad stuff going on when I was involved. It's just like this is way beyond crazy, the crazy that I remember. You tell them about things like pump.fun, or you mentioned whatever meme coin. You mentioned that something called fart coin is
right. That's been the big craziest dainer, fart coin.
Yeah. Or the final boss meme coin.
I think someone said it was I sort of tuned out when that second dog coin came along, the Shiba Inu one. Whatever it was. I was like, dude, that's that's venerable now. They're talking about someone's probably trying to put together an ETF for that right now.
Probably, to be honest.
Yeah, it's and I guess going back to what you guys were saying about previous cycles and do we need rate cuts and what have you, also the market has grown so exponentially since then as well. So in order to try and lift the whole thing, it's a bit like you have to put way more capital into Bitcoin in order to move the chart than you would in some low cap shitter. And I kind of feel that translates to the to the wider crypto market as well. If you want to pump the whole market, it's going to have to see exponentially larger inflows now than the sort we were getting in 2021 and 2017, because it was such it was so much smaller by comparison then, and there was so much there was much less choice, although it felt like there was too much choice at the time a lot of the time. But it's easy to lose sight of just how much this has grown, right?
Yeah, 100%. Going from, I'll look at the total market cap right now. I mean, for the 2020 cycle at the low, which is actually crazy. The total market cap in 2020 was $140 billion. $140 billion. Going from 140 billion to $1 trillion is nothing from going, from $1 trillion to $4 trillion.
Yeah, no, definitely. More. And I think the problem is also, this is what we talked about, and one of the arguments as to why this altcoin season is just not going to be like the last is there's just too many cryptocurrencies, and they're launching by the day. And people if you're new to the space, if you're a newbie, if you were new retail coming into crypto in 2020 cycle, yes, it was still quite daunting, but at least you kind of there was a segmentation of the cryptocurrency. You could kind of get a sense of what each one was. Now, if you come to the market, I mean, you've got the meme coins, you got Deep, and you got DeFi, GameFi, you got 15 different layer ones, of which each has their own particular ecosystem. And then you've got also all the infrastructure projects, and then you've got all the dApps, and then you've got the layer 2s, and then the layer 3s. So it's kind of just way too daunting, and they just think, actually, you know what? I'm just going to go and buy maybe a Ethereum ETF, get myself some crypto exposure. Maybe I'll go and buy some old OG coins that I remember from the 2021 cycle, Cardano, XRP, etc. And I'm not going to even venture out into what is the best of the 15 different highly performant layer ones.
Exactly the point of you're gonna have to do work now if you want to get these extraordinary gains, because there are so many options. You're gonna have to figure out which ones are the good ones.
Leverage.
Leverage.
I'm joking. Not financial advice.
Strike that from the record. Strike that from the record. Yeah, it's it is tough out there, but it's it means those. I kind of feel there's something egalitarian about it, because those who pay attention, those who are mentally ill enough, are the ones who will profit. And I kind of feel that's more how it should be. If you've taken the time to be in crypto all this time, and to do that research, and to spend all that time on Twitter, and to do all that damage to your mental health, you deserve the gains.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Okay. Well, speaking of poor mental health, let's talk about Twitter, or X as it's now called, because Lewis, you and I were having this conversation in the office just yesterday, I think, and so I thought it would be an interesting one for the guys for the people watching the stream to opine on as well. Thanks for that earlier question, by the way, Edward. So, is Twitter still? Do you feel Twitter is still a good place to do crypto research? Because I've seen a lot of people, and not just in crypto. Like I was reading recently, someone was saying that most 75% of Twitter is now bots anyway. Very few people use it. Obviously, there's been a big sort of drain to places like Blue Sky, which is obviously more sort of a particular people of a particular political leaning, I think, more than anything else.
I don't think too many crypto Twitter folks are went over to Blue Sky.
Yeah, I haven't checked for myself, but I don't think the crypto Blue Sky is particularly.
There's like 4 people
on crypto Blue Sky. The one post from 6 months ago.
I don't know. I might have to go and check it out. I'm curious now. Maybe we're missing out. Maybe that's where the real alpha is. But yeah, like, is there still alpha to be had on Twitter? Lewis, I'm going to pass this one to you, because I know that you spend a lot of time there. Nick as well. But let's start with you.
Yeah. So it's funny, because maybe like in 2020, like I guess late 2024-ish, even before that, I was fed up with crypto Twitter, and was like, look, the alpha decay has become so great that it's not even worth it anymore. This was me like last year, right? And but that, I think that was maybe something that had to do with the fact that I used to follow like a lot of, I still follow these accounts, but like a lot of the accounts that I used to follow would actually post really good charts, and they would post good setups, and they would post alpha, and it was great. And then like over time, everyone, like, if they're wrong, they would get bashed so hard in the comments, and everyone would just be so annoyed. And even when they're right, then like 90% of the people wouldn't even follow them. So they would comment, oh, when's the next one? Because I missed this one. So when's the next one? And then when they are right, maybe like the price will go up to their target, and then it'll drop, and then everyone will be like, oh, you're a scammer, like you suck, like, and start bashing them even more. So 95% of the people who I used to follow, who like actually had alpha, now just shit post all the time. And so that was why I sort of like was like, okay, no, but I decided to take some basically responsibility and be like, no, there has to be alpha. I know there's alpha. So I started, looking at other accounts, maybe the newer ones. You know how they always say like there's the old folks, and then like the new rain comes in, and they, know what they're doing more. They're more hungry, so they post more stuff. So it's like I found some new accounts, and also got lucky enough to just be scrolling through crypto Twitter and see a few posts that actually ended up being some of my biggest gainers this entire cycle. So I actually was able to find a coin called Kita that did 100x, basically just because I was scrolling on crypto Twitter and I saw someone post that the CEO of Google invested into it, and it was like a $5 million market cap or something like that. at the time, and it like just came out. So when I saw that, you know, I did a little bit of research and I was like, okay, and then I aped into it, and it ended up going from like $5 to like $600 million market cap or something like that. And so that was from crypto Twitter. And so there is, so I retract what I said before about me being, you know, me bashing it and saying that there's no alpha, because now I do actually believe that there is I know there is, because I get the alpha. I get a lot of the alpha from crypto Twitter, and I got KTA, which did 100x. I got Troll, which did I saw a random post from someone saying how this coin Troll looked exactly like this one called FWOG, which ran up to, you know, hundreds of millions. Another like someone from TradeFire outside of crypto.
What do you say, frog or FWOG?
FWOG, FWOG. And it's a picture. Maybe you could pull up the picture of it. It's a hilarious meme picture of a frog, cartoon frog. And it's really great. And everyone loves it. And it ran up to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions. I think it actually went over $1 billion at one point. And some guy on crypto Twitter was like, dude, this chart for Troll looks exactly like FWOG, like to the dollar amount of like what the market cap was. And they posted some stuff. And I was like, damn, you're right. It is. And then I was like, you know what? Troll is also very relatable, because everyone from Gen Alpha, all the way to boomers understand the word. So yeah, this is FWOG. And there's another thing. It's like if you're on crypto Twitter enough, something goes off in your brain when you see that it's like, this is relatable to like something else that I've seen in the crypto space that did really well, that I can't like put my head on it, but like it's weird pattern recognition, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I saw something, you know, they said it was very similar to that. This one called Troll was very similar to FWOG, and they posted the charts, and that was on crypto Twitter. So that was incredible alpha, because that ended up doing a 10x so far. I think it's going to do another 10x, to be honest. It's going to retrace a little bit in my opinion, but then I think it'll keep on going up. But yeah, so if you are deranged enough to spend hours and hours and hours of your day on crypto Twitter, like instead of TikTok, I'm on crypto Twitter, but I'm on TikTok a lot too, because you know, breaking news goes on TikTok. Stuff like
You're there for the dances, bro. You're there for the TikTok dances. Don't lie.
Listen,
I know it. Just admit it. Just embrace it. Embrace it, bro.
It's actually when you sign, if you're not part of TikTok and you sign up for TikTok, they will push the most like ridiculous. If you're a guy and you put male as your, you know, sex for TikTok, when you sign up, they're just going to push girls, and it's really bad, like in that aspect. But you block all of that, and then you go to the weird crypto side of it, and you go to the no, it's not even the crypto side. It's literally the what do you call it? Like when there's something that's popping off like really mainstream, you know, like Peanut the Squirrel was one of them, right? And it's like
meme stuff.
Yeah, it's like meme stuff, and it's just like stuff that's really, really big that's happening in really, really big. There was a squirrel that, you know, got shot or whatever, but it was big. It was big, you know. But TikTok makes videos on it, and then the virality of TikTok like blows up. So I had a strategy last year, which was literally scrolling on TikTok for hours and hours and hours every single day, looking at the most viral content that's popping off, and then looking on Deck Screener and seeing meme coins pop up for it, and then getting into them. There's a lot of them. But those ones, I don't know if those aren't really, you know, like the long-term fundamental plays that, you know, you get into. But there's strategies that you could think of, you know, if you start seeing where the money's going to and what's actually happening in the market. You know, it's not just all a bunch of scammers, and it's not hopeless.
So you hit Troll because of the chart looked just like FWOG, which you found on TikTok, crypto TikTok.
Crypto Twitter.
Crypto Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't understand why newbies would find it difficult to understand what's going on in crypto. It's so easy to understand. FWOG, crypto. It's kind of adjacent, like, you know.
And then you have to go into actual like deck screener and then convert and then bridge and then do like 5 different transactions in order to get it. Like it's easy. Yeah. No wonder.
Bridge across different chains and all that. Just while we're on the Twitter then, and you obviously seem to have a bit more of a knack at finding stuff on Twitter and finding quality information, whereas I'm just force-fed a whole bunch of garbage regularly. In terms of the algorithm, and I try not to engage with it because I know that if I engage with some sort of clickbait stuff, it's going to go and rot my brain. But when it comes to more specifically finding these hot picks and stuff, is there a particular, how do you optimize your feed? Do you only look at the following? Do you look at the For You? Do you use lists? What sort of kind of accounts do you try to filter to find those that give the information that's useful versus those that just spew FUD and nonsense clickbait stuff? So how do you optimize your Twitter to get this information and filter for the best picks?
Yeah. So if you're just like go on Twitter, go on X and click on the For You, like, and that's all you use, you're not doing anything. That's going to be terrible. You need to filter it out, right? You need a filtering system. So first off, I look at the For You like right when I go on it sometimes, because I'll just go to x.com and it defaults to that. But 90% of the time I go to my following, and I have a following list of people that I follow, and I will look at what they're saying, right? And then a lot of times I'll look at their replies, and maybe I'll see something in the replies of one of my followers in order to get the following, like the people who to follow. Man, that was a lot of it has been from being on X for like 8 years now, 9 years or something like that, just like knowing, and then you see things and you see the people that are good, and then you see the people who suck and the people who shill and the people who, are actually legitimate, and you filter it out like just over time. And then also sometimes there's actually some YouTube videos that these people make, and I remember there was this one kid who I think, no comments, but like he had a YouTube video, and he has like a list of people to follow on crypto Twitter, and there was like 50 people on there. So I literally like went in there and I followed every single one of them, and I put it in my following list. I also went a little bit overboard and created like a own like Discord special thing, RSS feed to like see it like in real time. But like that's overboard. You don't even have to do that. So you have the following. That's really important. And then you need to take, well, at least what I do is I have like probably 10 people max that I really, really want to know everything that they're doing, because they're usually really, really on point. And I put that in something called my daily crypto rundown. So, and that's something I look at, every single day, and that filters it out even more, right? So you got to have some type of, but then the other part of it is literally just spending like a lot of time on it and having good intuition. And then when you see a coin, obviously you have to do the research into the coin itself and understand, like, just because someone's shilling something, it doesn't give you like, it doesn't make it a good play. Like I saw the guy shilling the troll, right? And at first, and if it was just a ticker symbol, which a lot of them are, and says, oh, this is so good, then that doesn't mean anything. But he had evidence, he had proof, he had a thesis. Look at, these are the numbers. This is what FWOG did. This is what Troll did. Troll is relatable to everyone. FWOG is relatable to everyone. It's a good meme. It's like, there was a lot of like reasoning behind it. So you need to find like these accounts that give you more than just a ticker symbol,
Yeah. 100%. I think I've certainly found that I just no longer look at For You at all. It is just, for the most part, a stream of absolute garbage and
totally
and real sort of brain rot. And I think though, if you're following enough, good accounts, then the following, because people, the thing about the For You, isn't it? It is constantly refreshing. Whereas if you're following, like if it's just your following tab, then it might only be like 2 or 3 posts at a time. Whereas the For You is just a constant stream of sewage.
Yeah, and if you accidentally click on some sort of a rage bait, I don't know what it is, like some political thing of some description, and then Twitter automatically registers that, and it's like, we saw you like this, you may like this as well, and they send you like 50 different posts of like the most egregious rage bait that's going on in the world. I also, one thing I note from on Twitter as well, I think that size of the account, don't assume size of account, especially in crypto Twitter, to mean quality information. The amount of fake stuff and just plain wrong things that are being tweeted out there from some massive accounts are just like, it's ridiculous. And people interact with it. They just like it. They click on it because it sounds wow, FOMO, it sounds FUD. Wrong information, wrong data. And they get big because they just regurgitate bullish stuff for clickbait purposes and engagement. And that's just the way it goes. So I think generally, I think that the accounts in the range of between, I don't know, 5 to 30,000 followers are probably the sweet spot from those that give the kind of hot alpha that isn't completely crowded with everyone else following them.
Yeah, heck, even less than that. Like, never be surprised. Like, I've seen some stuff by some people with a few hundred followers that was like, oh wow, it's actually good, you know. And the other thing that you could do is you can look at coins that did really, really well. Like, for instance, KTA, Kita. That one did really, really well, and it's fairly new. You could look at when it came out. Then you could go into crypto Twitter, you go into x.com, and in their search, they have an advanced search where you could filter for things. So filter out for the coins like that did really, really well, and then filter the date for the first, I don't know, 2 weeks or so when it came out. And you'll see the people who were posting about it initially, like the very first people who were posting about it right when it came out. And do this for coins that are like, really good, actually good coins that, make sense. Like actually, I should probably do this for Mammo, to be honest, and if there's someone who tweeted about Mammo like the first couple of weeks that it came out and they had a good thesis about it, I want to add that guy to my list. I did that with KTA. I did that with a few other ones, and that's actually been that is alpha right there. That is alpha.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Lewis, I've put your Twitter handle there. So if people watching are interested, go and check out the accounts that Lewis is following, because these are the sort of people that he's talking about. And yeah, like as Nick said, a big follow account does not necessarily mean that they're bringing the alpha. Sometimes the complete opposite. Apart from Coin Bureau, of course. But it is it is harder as you get a bigger account. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter point this out. It's like the bigger an account gets, it actually gets harder and harder to post alpha about smaller projects, because that you could be having an outsized effect on that project. You could potentially be moving the price of that, and that's not what you want to do. So,
for some people, that's exactly what they want to do.
Well, some people, that's exactly what they want to do.
For
some of us, we're trying to do this right. we want to avoid all that. But smaller accounts do have a lot more of that kind of freedom, as well as, a lot of the time, these are guys who are just grinding away 24/7 looking for this alpha. So yeah, do check out the accounts that Lewis is following and that we're following on Coin Bureau as well, because there are some great accounts that we follow there too. So yeah, I think you're right. It is definitely still there is definitely alpha to be found. I think definitely turn off for you and stick to following, because like I say, if you're following enough good people, that's enough information. You don't need the sludge that Twitter/X is going to feed you otherwise. I guess one thing that's slightly spoilt it for me was when InfoFi came along, and suddenly my feed, even though I was just looking at following, my feed was just jammed with people like yapping about certain projects, and it was like, yes, I see what you're doing. This is just really, really annoying. So I think the lesson there, and I think you alluded to this, Lewis, is like, it's not you won't just go on Twitter or X, I suppose we should call it, and it's like, there it is. You've got to go through the feed. You've got to refresh it. You've got to wade through a lot of crap in order to find those diamonds. And it is practice, because your eye does get trained. You're like, oh, I see someone is bull posting Pendle for the 27th time this week. It's like, okay, I can scroll past that. But it's just like, but you eventually learn to sort of focus in more on the good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes a while, but like everything. It's not like, what do you expect? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it and just be millionaires.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's. Gosh, we've been going for 3/4 of an hour already. Can we switch and talk about? Should we quickly talk about Ethereum and Solana, and then get Lewis's altcoin picks, or the charts that you've lined up for us, Lewis?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you guys is, like, obviously, Ethereum is what everyone's talking about at the moment. So why exactly? Like, is it just the fact that we've got these treasury companies? So that's the first part of the question. Why is Ethereum doing so well? And the network itself, I don't just mean ETH, but also, like, Solana is just seems to have gone really quiet. What are your theories on what's happening here? Is this just kind of rotation? Has Solana seriously lost ground because of the whole meme coin thing blowing up? What do you think is going on? Nick, can I start with you?
So it definitely is rotational to a degree, and momentum that came with it. ETH was definitely the most hated, most oversold asset in crypto in terms of capital in general, as the second biggest coin. And that was a loaded spring. And obviously, it's got the advantage now of the massive treasury buys that are coming in. But also because I think we know this is a fact, the best marketing device or medium for any cryptocurrency is its price. And the moment ETH started breaking out, everyone started paying attention, and they were diving into it. And if actually the Ethereum network in terms of smart contract cryptos, is the biggest and most secure. It's TradFi is building on top of it. Is building the new financial rails on top of it. Think about all these RWA cryptos, BlackRock Biddle Fund, all the exciting DeFi projects. The most exciting ones are building on top of Ethereum. So the catalyst was the price that kicked off the treasury companies who coming in. And I will remind people that the treasury companies are price insensitive buyers. They out there, they're going to accumulate. Tom Lee wants 5% of all Ethereum supply in Bitmine. He's going to go out, he's going to buy. And so it's been this massive rotation into ETH. In terms of why Sol hasn't been performing, I think that, well, it's again, I think the association with Solana has generally been, for better or worse, is meme coins, right? And meme coin trading, meme coin gambling. There's a lot more being built on Solana. There's obviously the new stocks being issued, the X stocks and all of that. And there's an exciting DeFi ecosystem on Solana. But at the time, it's just that narrative was kind of stayed and boring, and people were like, well, now we want to focus on the project, on the network that's going to be built where the new financial system is being built. And as a result, they moved out of Solana. And Solana, although there were some treasury companies that were accumulating Sol, there was nowhere near on the same plane as Ethereum. And also, although there is a Solana ETF, the Rex shares one, it's not. Ethereum has had ETH as ETFs for over a year now. And there's way more method and way more routes for traditional TradFi capital to get into Ethereum as opposed to Solana. So all of those things came together to drive the Sol ETH price much lower, and sent Sol. It's crazy because if you'd bought Sol anytime this year, you would have underperformed ETH. So it's just, whether it will turn, I think it will turn eventually. The Sol ETH price will turn. But I think that right now the momentum is in Ethereum's favor.
Yeah, Lewis, what do you make of it? Because I think reports of Solana's death have been greatly exaggerated, haven't they? It does seem to me like this is kind of the rotation that has become just a feature of crypto. Like, not everything can be having its moment in the sun at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. I also want to add. One other thing is that if you would have bought Solana in any time not just this year, but also last year in 2024, you would have underperformed just holding Bitcoin as well. So, I mean, goes to show. Everyone's always like, oh, you know, get into these alts and stuff, but even ones that were supposedly were the shining stars of the cycle, like Solana was, like, it actually has underperformed Bitcoin for the past like year and 8 months. So 9 months, really. Yeah, almost 2 years. So yeah, I mean, you just look at the charts. Like that's why I look at the charts, is because when you are looking at and hearing things by people, you get so caught up in it, and it makes it seem so, I don't know, like glamorous, or like this is the coin that's obvious, that's doing the best, and like you should do that, you should get in here or whatever. But like if you look at the charts, it's literally just like it shows you the picture, it shows you reality, right? So like that's one thing that I like to do. But when talking about Ethereum, you know, and specifically and stuff, one thing I think is really important that everyone should do, which helped me out tremendously with Bitcoin, is knowing what the ETF inflows are like, because that is huge. That's where the biggest amount of money is, you know, getting injected into the system. And guess what happened at the bottom of the market? Of Ethereum, we had the Bitcoin ETFs that were getting like billions and billions of dollars be put in them. All of the sudden, it converted to Ethereum ETFs, and we had a lot more money going into Ethereum ETFs. And even last week, like for like very, very rarely, this hardly ever happens, there was more money flowing into Ethereum than there was to Bitcoin, which I don't like, it hardly ever happens. But near the bottom, we did start to see the shift happening from all of this money going into Bitcoin and like basically none going into the Ethereum ETFs, to like more and more money started going into the Ethereum ETFs. So yeah, I would watch the ETFs, and I think the ETF data is like super, super, super important. So for anyone, you know, analyzing the market, because we've had the most amount of like money flowing into Ethereum ETFs in like, you know, the past couple months, you know, as opposed to what was happening when Ethereum was just going down, even when Bitcoin was going up. There wasn't that much money flowing into the ETH ETFs, but now there is, and ETH is rocketing. So that's another aspect that I think everyone should follow. I think it's super, super important.
Yeah, I agree. I do as well think one day we're going to look back on 2025 and just be like, oh, do you remember when we just had to check inflows for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs? Life was so simple back then, you know. And now before too long. I mean, I think October is the deadline. I think it's 19th of October or something is the deadline for quite a lot of the outstanding applications for ETFs for so many things. I mean, I know we've got one Sol ETF already, but there are going to be a lot more XRP ETFs. You know, people are talking about Pengu ETFs, Fartcoin ETFs. You know, XRP ETFs. It's crazy. But yeah, you're right, Lewis. That is a really important metric to watch. It's just going to get so much more crowded, though, isn't it? There's going to be just so much more information on that front.
Yeah, but until that happens, I would say just that's one of the top metrics for sure.
Absolutely. And before we move on, this is a good question from Nuno in the comments. Can Sol compete against ETH in real world assets? Since although Sol is much cheaper for transactions, ETH is much more secure and getting cheaper and cheaper. I mean, Nick, because I mean, you and I have talked about real world assets quite a lot of the time. It's like, do you feel that Ethereum has kind of got that sewn up? And do we even, you know, if you're a big institution tokenizing particular assets, do you prioritize speed or do you prioritize security? Because transactions don't really matter. Transaction fees don't really matter, do they?
Oh man, when you move in billions or hundreds of millions in worth of treasury or tokenized treasuries, you don't care about, or securing tokenized treasuries or any sort of large amounts of capital, you don't care about speed so much, or fees. If you move in $100 million, $200 million worth of RWAs, do you care if it's $2 in fees or like $0.1 or 10 cents? You don't care. So I think Solana, we've always said that Solana's better for a consumer chain, and that's why lots of people like to trade on it for meme coins and stuff. And but when it comes to Wall Street securing and issuing large amounts of tokenized assets, treasuries, all the other types of tokenized assets they're putting on Ethereum, I think they place an emphasis on the security for sure.
Yeah, it's. I do feel that is very much Ethereum's domain. RWAs, so Solana, I think is much more sort of consumer focused, isn't it? And I think that's Ethereum's big strength at the moment. I think that's why it's doing so well. Institutions are much more focused on Ethereum than they are Solana for some of those reasons you've just outlined. Okay, now guys, we spoke at the top of the stream that Lewis was going to show us some charts on some altcoins that he's watching. So that time has arrived, Lewis. Can you share some alpha with us on that particular front?
Yeah, I could do that. Does anyone want to? Is there any altcoins in particular that anyone wants? They could, I guess, drop it, and I'll do it.
Troll.
Sure. All right, I'll do troll.
And
then
or what's it? Final boss, the guy in Ibiza, the meme coin.
Well, that one must have just come out like 5 seconds ago. So.
Do not do the chart for final boss or whatever it is. Yeah, we're going to stay well away from that. But yes, why don't we start with troll?
Should we post the picture for final boss?
Yeah. Guy.
Yes.
The picture.
Yes.
So I get context. The context is important. So one of our team members is very, very good at AI image generation, and he's the one of them who's responsible for all the funny ones you guys put for me and Guy on the wall of fame and shame. And we asked him to design a final boss version of us three, the Three Musketeers, final boss in Ibiza. And Guy, you can show them.
There we are. What I want to know is why I've suddenly gained so much weight. Like
Guy, you look like a famous crypto influencer. Who could he be? Maybe you guys can guess in the comments what crypto influencer Guy looks like. Yeah.
Good grief! I mean, Has anyone? I'm assuming people are up to date with this because, like, there's Ibiza final boss. I'll have to get an image to share. But I mean, the things AI can do, isn't it wonderful? Where would we be without it?
Oh man, it's incredible.
Yeah, the Newcastle Massive. Yes, he that fella is a Geordie. Apparently.
Yeah, he was speaking. They interviewed him the other day, and I didn't know what he was saying, so I assumed it was some northern accent of some description. I thought it was Scout.
Just a generic northern accent. No, he's a Geordie, which is a wonderful accent. Yes, Newcastle Massive. Okay, yes, right. Let's do a chart. So I think let's do troll, and then I've seen a few people asking for Sui as well. Like I've seen a few people in the comments talking about Sui. Joseph is just the latest of those. So maybe troll and then Sui, and we'll think about a third in a minute.
Yeah, sure. And I also have some like big picture stuff. Oh, and one to rile up the XRP army too as well.
Okay.
XRP and the ADA. We could it's a secret chart that you have to type in some special stuff in order to get. But one of them is superior, and you will see which one is the superior chart coming up.
Okay.
But
I'm
let me. All right, let me just see if this works over here, and then once this loads up, then we should be good to go. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. I don't know what this is. The Sol. Oh, this was the Sol against Bitcoin chart. All right. Well. First off, we got the troll one right because that one just went absolutely bananas. And so, but the thing is,
totally organic. That's some totally organic price action.
This is
totally organic,
100% organic, right? But the thing is, like when I did see the post on crypto Twitter, it was a post. It looked like this. Well, I mean, yeah, it was like basically like this, and even further back. And it was like, this is what Fwog did. Like here, boom, 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 boom. And like, this is inevitable. And now it actually happened, which is like nuts that it did. But obviously when something goes up like this much, then you got to take some off the table if you've been holding, right? And so I do think even if this does go up more, I think that it's going to retrace and end up lower than the current price. So basically, I sold a lot, like probably like 3/4 of my bag, and I'm just waiting until it comes down to, you know, maybe here and then maybe here to get in. One of my favorite things is using the Fibonacci and the golden ratio, which is the 61.8, and so that's all the way down here, you know, at like 0.09 or something, right? So I'm pretty sure it'll come down. I don't know if it'll come down all the way here, but you know, it's definitely a possibility, because with all these lower market cap meme coins, a lot of the times what you'll notice is that they'll drop 50, 60, 70%, and then they'll actually rally again, like if it's a good one, right? And I noticed that happen with like PopCat, which ended up doing like extremely well down the line. And actually, I wonder if I have it on here, but because I remember when I was doing my analysis on PopCat, it was not Pop. I was looking at all of the different times that it basically like went down, and it ended up going down like so many times, like 60-70%, and then finally you know, it ended up going up thousands of percent. So it depends when you get in, but like you gotta have the cojones to hold, or if you are a trader like me, like, you know when to buy back in, know when to sell, know when to buy back in, right? So yeah, that was troll, but there's a couple things I do want to share, some like big picture stuff, because I did notice something the other day when I was doing an analysis that was actually really it was actually really telling, because I now have a prediction, and I know everyone loves predictions, price predictions and stuff. So this is the total market cap, right? Right now we're at 3.7 trillion. This one, I'm not like 100% sure of, but I think that we're going to get up to like 4.7 trillion. So 4.8. So basically we have $1 trillion more to enter the market before the top is probably going to be in, if it ends up being a top. I can't, say that it will be, but like, I do think we still have an entire $1 trillion more to come up, all the way up to 4.8 trillion. And this analysis took me a while, so I think it's pretty good. But the other chart that is even more telling is the total 2, which is everything except for Bitcoin, right? So it's basically the whole altcoin market. And I'm going to make this prediction right here. I think that we top out when the total 2 market cap chart reaches $2 trillion, like 2 or $2.1 trillion up here. So, which is still quite a long ways away, because we're at 1.5. So that's what that's $500 billion. Actually, that's more than $500 billion into the altcoin market. So that's what I'm going to say for the altcoin market cap. We still have a long way to go. And then there's this is obviously everyone's like really looking at Ethereum now. And so this is the Ethereum against Bitcoin chart right here. And this looks good to me. And you know what this actually looks like to me is, remember Bitcoin in 2022 or something like that. I'll go back to it. What did it do? It was like going down, and then it like popped up, did a really good pop up, and then like stayed in a range, and then it fell down, like, and basically tricked everyone out, and then it just it popped up after that and just kept on going. And that was Bitcoin. Well, for Ethereum against Bitcoin, it was going down. It popped up, it went in a range, it fell down, tricked everyone out, and now it's popping, and now it popped up again. So I think like and let me get rid of that. I think that like if you look at what Bitcoin did before, and when Bitcoin started getting all the ETF inflows and stuff like that, now Ethereum is getting all the ETF inflows. So I think Ethereum is the way to go. And I actually converted all of my Bitcoin over to Ethereum. And so I am holding my Ethereum, because I believe that Ethereum is going to continue to outperform Bitcoin, and probably probably outperform it until it reaches, you know, this level up here at, you know, 0.059-ish or 0.058-ish, something like that. But like, yeah, I think Ethereum's the way to go right now. And when it comes to like the total, like where the market might end, basically, if you look at the 4-year cycle, we're coming up pretty close to the end of it, you know. So obviously, I don't know if everyone knows about the 4-year cycle in the audience, but the 4-year cycle basically says that you know, every cycle has been 4 years, and so you could look at where the halving is, and look at where the lows have been, and look at where the highs have been. So if you go back, it's like this is like a lot, but basically. I mean, remember what happened last year in November? November was a big December. That was the Q4. Biggest thing happens in Q4. What happened in 2021 at the highs? November, December 2021. That was the highs, right? And what happened even back in 2017, November, December. It's a reoccurring thing, right? And so from, you know, 2017, 2018 to 2021, that was 4 years. And then from 2021 now to 2025, that's going to be another 4 years. And so that should put the top somewhere between September, October, November. However, this is like the thing that I'm sort of thinking, with the new way that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are like the new basically paradigm of institutional investors and ETF inflows and governments, you know, and all of that, we will probably have a much shorter cycle of a bear market, in my opinion. And I think like it's going to start looking more like the S&P 500 and like traditional stocks, where there's a much longer bull market and then shorter bear markets. I just thought this was really cool because you could see all the way from 2017. So this is like a really long resistance. This was the high, and then this was the high, and then this was the high, and then even in December of last year, this was the high, and then again this was the high. But then it broke above this resistance that has been really since 2017, and it broke above it, and it came back down, retested it, and now it looks like it's going up. So I don't know if it will continue, but like it looks not bad. It doesn't look too bad, you know. So I'm pretty bullish. You know, I'm really bullish going into Q4. I think that Q4 this is when historically we should have the biggest gains in all of crypto. When things do go absolutely crazy, it should be Q4 2025 this year, which is very, very, very close. So I think it's really important that people get positioned basically as soon as they can. Or if there is a big dip that this month or next month, I think that's the time to load up, because I mean, if you're going by what the history was, then we don't have that much time left, but we should experience extremely good gains. So that's my thoughts on that. And then the last thing is this chart right here. So this chart, we have a big war, you know, I don't know, a war, but there's two camps. There's the XRP camp and there's the ADA camp. And I know all of them like to just go talk about how good their coin is and everything. Well, I don't know if you know this, but in TradingView, you could type in XRP USDT divided by ADA USDT, and that will give you XRP over ADA, which is this chart right here. So I just got to say, it looks like XRP is sort of kicking the ADA's butt community, you know? So
an XRP army are not to be trifled with.
They're not to be trifled with. They're not to be trifled with, you know?
No, they are not.
And I just know that there's probably going to be some feathers being scruffled up right now with people seeing this. So this is the rage bait going on.
This is the rage bait part of the stream.
Let's title this stream XRP
versus ADA. XRP beats ADA. Best crypto.
put some AI, you know, put an XRP logo on some guy like crushing like 80K or something like that.
Like Brad and Charles wearing boxing gloves in the thumbnail.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not an XRP maxi or anything. I just thought this. How many comments we get on both XRP and ADA? I just figured I would throw this in there.
You know your stuff, bro. You know, crypto YouTube. You know, those communities are the strongest of all, and you got to cover them, and people will go crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I will say there's interesting stuff going on. To put in a good word for ADA and Cardano, there is interesting stuff going on at the moment with the midnight drop. This is the privacy sidechain that Cardano is launching. So if you're I'm sure if you're an ADA holder, you probably know about this already, but it is worth checking out. I did a post in the Coin Bureau Club Discord about it yesterday, but the midnight drop is there. So there are free tokens for those who but you don't just need to hold ADA. Apparently, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, AVAX, BNB holders. It is worth checking that out if you're a Cardano fan, or even if you're not. Okay, Lewis, one more thing, because we did promise it. Can you have a very quick look at Sui? Because I did.
Oh, right. Sui. I totally forgot.
Yeah. I say this because lots of people ask for it, and also I'm a Sui holder as well, so I'd like to.
Yeah, we're gonna get brigaded by the Sui community.
Yes.
Sui.
Oh yeah, how do you pronounce it? Because I've heard, you know, didn't you say it was Sui, but like everyone says it's Sui, right?
It's Sui. I mean, you know,
it should be Sui. Adani, who's the CEO of Miston Labs, he was on he did a Discord chat with Jessica. Gosh, must be a couple of years ago now, and he said Sui. So yeah, but it's very hard to call it Sui, but apparently it's Sui.
Yeah, I think I will stick with Sui. it just sounds better. But this was a crazy retest of this resistance. Like this is an easy way to chart. Just look at resistance, some support over here, and then bam. All right. But dude, I mean, so the way to do it is really start off on the bigger, you know, looking at the bigger picture. I mean, if you're looking at this on the bigger picture, this looks good, man. Sui has been an absolute runner this cycle. I mean, damn, can you imagine if you got in like, you know, basically anytime in 2023, you'd be up massively, you know, at the peak, over 10x, over 1,000%. So really, really good job for everyone who got into Sui. I know there was a Sui versus Say, and I think I got into Say instead of Sui, and I was been kicking myself for that. But Say I think that just went down. I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, Say's done okay. Say's done okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Sui was the winner in that one for sure. But yeah, the Sui, I mean, it's looking good. I like it. You got the huge retracement. And now, you know, the higher low from here to here, a higher high from here to here. And now, is this going to be the higher low, or is it going to, I guess I could, you know, put something in here, or is it going to, you know, come down here and make a higher low before continuing to go up? But Sui's a great one. Sui's also a contender for an ETF. So it has that going for it as well. So I like Sui. This is on the weekly chart, so let's go down into, you know, a daily. Oh wow, it did really well just today. And I'll also pull up some of these things. So yeah, I mean, it seems good to me. Personally, when it comes to like actual charting, what I like to do is, you know, look at it basically where the highs were and like plot that out. So I'll plot this out, and you know, I'll bring it down a little bit just so it has this as well. And like this to me, this is basically what I do. It's a TA lesson right here. I'll plot out the top, and I'll put a box in here, and I'll make it red. And so this is like the danger zone. You know, if it's up here, I don't want it. I don't want to be buying it because look at what happened last time. It got rejected there, It's not good. So if it's up here, it's bad. I know that's a fact. And I'm not going to be buying it. But where would I want to be buying it? Well, maybe, you know, I don't know, somewhere that it's bounced off of a few times. That back here was pretty good. Bounced off of it there, bounced off of it there, bounced off of there, whatever. And so in my opinion, like right now, this exact moment for SUI, even if we go into a lower time frame, and I'll get rid of this because I don't know if that's going to actually happen. If we go into a lower time frame, you could see this. I'll make a fib as well, just so it pointed out. This was the high, this was the low, and if you make it a range, this is the middle. And you really don't want to be getting into stuff, in my opinion. You don't want to be trading stuff in the middle. In the middle of a range between a high and a low, or a low and a high, that's the middle is like no man's land, right? Because maybe, maybe it'll go up and continue its path, but at the same time, it might just end up. Where's my thing? Here it is. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, like it might end up doing that. Sure. But like this is a big resistance, like the middle of the range. So it might end up going back down, and you don't know. So what I like to do is wait until it comes into like good areas where I would look for an opportunity to form. So if it comes back down here, then yeah, I would look for something, because this was a previous low down here. It was a previous low over here. It had some reactions. This was a resistance, and this was another low over here. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But like right here, like where it is, it's like, what happened? It's been more resistance over here. So right now I wouldn't be buying it, but I would definitely, just looking at the big picture, like we saw before, like it's good. Like it's on its way up, and what happens in between, is where you want to be getting in on some type of retracement in between this huge move, which I think is what's going to be happening with it. Right. So yeah, whenever you're looking at something, just look at where the high is, look at where the low is, and then plot out the areas. If it's where the highs used to be, if it's right, where the resistance was, it's not a good area to get in, just straight up. If it's where the lows used to be, then it's probably a good area to get in. And if it's in the middle, to me, that's gambling, because how are you going to get an edge? In trading, you always want to have an edge, right? And if it's down here, you have an edge. If it's up here, it's going against you. In the middle, it's no man's land. You don't really know unless you figured something out, by trading it or something like that, or if you have knowledge, insider information. But for the long term, I think it's a great play, especially with the whole ETF like possibility happening, and the connections and the team and all of that.
Do you think if it can breach that $5 resistance, then it's kind of possibly clear air from there?
Let's go back to the $5 resistance is basically the is this what you're talking about? The top up here, because $5 is like here.
Yeah.
Like this.
Well, I rather than resistance, the sort of psychological barrier, if you like, of $5.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that I do think that I think that eventually when alt season happens, SUI is going to be way higher, because it's fundamentally a good coin in my opinion. And the chart looks good. I do think it's going to be good, but I do think once it comes up over the previous highs, basically what happens is once it comes back above here, that's going to be blue sky territory. So this is like blue sky territory. There's no resistance anywhere back here. So it could just keep on going up from there. Like, look at what happened before. This is when it broke out, and then it had a retest of the previous highs. And then it just went absolutely ham, and no one knew, because there's nothing over here telling you like when to sell. There's no resistance. There's no pressure. There's no one who bought over here just waiting to sell, right? But there are people who bought here. There are people who bought here. There are a lot of people who bought in this area, and they're just waiting to sell, right? So once it breaches the top up here, maybe we'll see another pullback just like this one, and then hopefully off to the races. And even before that happens, let me go like this. one thing that I do notice sometimes is that if it could go past the 61.8, that's usually a really bullish sign. And if you take, you saw I just drew this fib, and I'll zoom in a little bit more. So I just basically what I did is I used the Fibonacci tool on the left-hand side. I went from the top and then I went to the bottom, and that was it. And then it drew this out for me. And you could see that, where's my little thing? This right here, this is the 61.8, that and the 65%, that's what we call the golden pocket. And it's like, look at what happened. Like that's where it retraced from. But then it came back and it went above here. And usually what I noticed is that when it comes back above this area, like, and it breaches this high again, that's really, really bullish. And it's probably going to end up going back to the all-time highs. And then, after that, we'll see. But like I said, I think it's going to go past it. I think what's actually going to happen is like, it's going to end up coming up, like, coming up here, having a little retracement, coming up, boom, boom. And then it's going to like fall from there, because this is like massive resistance. So it's most likely going to fall, and then probably just like consolidate for a bit. And then eventually like, bust out of here. That's my makeshift crayon TA.
It's a beautiful thing. Thing. Fantastic. Okay, well, gosh, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, which I think is well long enough. But Lewis, that was great to get some chart analysis from you, and Nick, great to get your thoughts on the market as well. This has been fun just to sort of sit and shoot the.
If you guys are keen to jump on another live stream right now, we've got Gabby over on the Coin Bureau trading channel who's streaming at exactly this time as well. So go and check that out. You can get some live TA as well on Bitcoin and everything.
Where Coin Bureau is becoming like a sort of 20, nudging closer, 24-hour crypto news streaming.
Crypto never sleeps, and neither do we, man.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping I will get at least some sleep. But yes, thank you for joining this one, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm not sure whether NFA will be back next week. Hopefully, it will be if Ben and Rob are available. But it's been great fun doing this. Let us know if you enjoyed it. Let us know if you would like us to do something like this again. I certainly would love to, because I think it's great fun. We will be back with you again very soon.
Yep. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. See you soon. Bye. Okay.